Hey everybody, Jimmy Smith, back again doing my honorable thing, which is owning my picks. That's right, UFC on ESPN 57, Cannonier versus Imavov, UFC Fight Night, whatever it is, however you number them. Anyway, interesting one because a lot of my long shot picks paid off. So if you listen to me, you made some money. There were some things that didn't go my way. Jason Herzog, I love you to death. That was an early stoppage. We'll get to that in a second. But we start off with Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Bayaza. Depending on your book, he was about Soriano was about a minus 1.5, almost 2-1 underdog for this one. Minus 170, plus 170-ish for this fight. So you can make pretty good money, which is why I picked him, because I saw it. If you saw my picks, I saw this as a coin flip kind of fight, and you were getting way better than coin flip money. That's it. That was the end of my logic. I'm not saying one guy's much better than the other, but he's certainly not 170 better. It's not almost, 1.5 better. And when you look at the odds making, that's what you do, right? You go, okay, this guy's a little bit better. He's not that much better. It's worth the money. In this case, I thought it was worth the money. So, Punahele Soriano over Miguel Bayaza by unanimous decision. The story of this fight was Bayaza made it a ground game early when he probably shouldn't have. Look, I'm guilty of this myself. If you look at my fight with James Wilkes, which I think is on my YouTube channel, I broke it down. Ultimate Fighter winner. I went for a leg lock on him, and he teed off on my head for like a minute and a half. And I was able at the end to get the leg lock, but Bayaza made the decision early on to go for an inverted heel hook, which is a pretty good heel hook, to a knee bar combination. And the problem is the whole time you're not getting it, you're getting punched in the face. And he ate some big punches from Soriano, who's a pretty big puncher at 170. After that, he never really recovered. And an important thing to keep in mind is you can be conscious and awake and still fighting. You still be in a fight, but man, we take big shots early. A lot of times you're kind of the rest of the fight's a little bit slow. And I kind of got that feeling that after that initial attempt at the leg lock and Soriano, punching his way out of it, I thought kind of after that, I don't know if he was, completely out of it, but Bayaza seemed a little shell-shocked the rest of the fight. But a lot of it on the ground, where Bayaza went for a guillotine, got taken down pretty easily. He was just on the defensive on the ground the whole time. I thought we'd see a stand-up battle. Most people thought we'd see a stand-up battle. That's how both these guys like to fight. Bayaza ended up on the bottom, and the ground and pound from Soriano was just brutal for 3 rounds. No real close submission attempts after that first leg lock attempt. There was an arm bar that didn't look that close to me. So Bayaza had his moments, but kept trying to submit Soriano, and Soriano would just punch his way out of it. That's why we got a unanimous decision. Great stuff from Soriano. Could be a good mid-level guy at 170 pounds. Zachary Reese, Julian Marquez. I was off on this one. So were a lot of people. Zachary Reese in a big upset got a knockout in 20 seconds. Just uppercut, bing, right through the center, and lit Marquez up 20 seconds into round number 1. I picked Marquez to win it, so I'm 1-1. But good stuff from Zachary Reese, man. That's why we watch MMA. Is combat sports, period. Somebody can come out, land that big shot early, and turn things around. Big upset, great for him. Really excellent. So anyway, KO win for Zachary Reese, 20 seconds into round number 1. Julian Marquez, he'll still be a factor to some degree, but that's a tough loss to get over, especially a guy with so little experience. And then that's part of it, is when you lose to a guy who went in 6-1, right, just starting his UFC career. It was only his second UFC fight, and he crushes you in 20 seconds. Not a good look, especially in a crowded division where you want to make a good impression. Bruno Ferreira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. This was a fight where Stoltzfus in the beginning looked pretty good. Went for a knee bar. It's kind of weird. Then once again, we see kind of leg lock combinations, which are competitively rare in MMA. But was all over Bruno Ferreira early, over pursued. Now, the greatest example of this, Eve Edwards, Josh the Punk Thompson, when you're getting away from somebody in a grappling sense, you want to keep them close. And I've been guilty of this myself in my career, kind of overcommit to keeping them down and chasing Ferreira a little bit, vulnerable to that spinning shot. Boom. Ferreira, when I broke this one down, I picked Ferreira. I said, I don't see Dustin Stoltzfus getting his game going while yet avoiding the power shots of Ferreira. That's how I saw it happening. This kind of fight where he looks good, okay, looking good on the ground, doing all right, landing some good shots, and then bang, one shot turns it completely around. Ferreira is just a guy with that kind of power. Bruno Ferreira just, even if he doesn't hit the spinning stuff, this is a guy with 11 wins, 9 knockouts, has never won a decision. He's just a great finisher, most of it because of his power. So That's kind of how I saw this one. That's how it worked out. It worked out this way earlier than I thought. 4 minutes, 51 seconds into round number 1. Clipped him with a spinning shot. Referee, and it was Herzog again. Yeah, Herzog stepped in, called it while he was still on his feet. But anytime you stumble into the referee and he's got to hold you up, good stoppage. So a spinning shot was the beginning of the end for Stoltzfus. Bruno Ferreira all over him. Once again, a great finisher. Didn't let him off the hook. 10 seconds left to go in round number 1, and this fight's over. So I picked Ferreira to win, and I picked him to win by knockout. Raul Rosas Jr., Ricky Turcios. Now, I picked Raul Rosas Jr. in this one. But the thing I see with Raul Rosas Jr., and it's difficult because he's 19 years old. He fights like he's 19 years old. If you look at this fight, Ricky Turcios came out, he was shot out of a cannon, which is the exact wrong way to fight Raul Rosas Jr. Why? He's explosive. He's young. He doesn't think he can lose. He's aggressive, and he tries to get everybody out in the first couple rounds. The way I break fights like this down, right, tactically, is that's a style you outgrow as you get older. That is a young man's, not even a young man's style, that's a young fighter's style. Michael Chandler has a style of a much younger guy who's much earlier in his career, meaning you go out, I'm going to blow everybody away. Well, as fighters get better and you get dragged into longer fights, and that one technique that, big right hand or whatever it is that knocks everybody out, guys get hip to it, they have better defenses. If you're a chess player, it's like a tricky chess opening. I know that's a weird analogy if you don't play chess, but like the goofy chess opening that doesn't work, right, in big chess tournaments against really good players. They know that opening, it's not going to work. Similar kind of thing here where I do explosive, weird stuff early that'll catch regional guys. It'll catch guys early in their UFC careers. It won't catch veteran guys. But that's how Raul Rosas Jr. fights still. Once again, 19 years old. So you don't want to match that. You don't want to come out and throwing crazy kicks and doing wild stuff because that's what your opponent's going to do, and he's pretty good at that. You want to have a slow burn, methodical, stay behind the jab, stay technical, and let him burn himself out. Bring your pieces out, set everything up for a long game because he's not used to a long game. What does Turcios do? He comes out throwing all these wild kicks, and I was like, this fight's over. As soon as he came out, I was like, yeah, Raul Rosas Jr. is going to win this. Not that I have any faith in Ricky Turcios. It's, that's exactly how not to fight Raul Rosas Jr. Now, Raul Rosas Jr. got in trouble early, rear naked choke, and he's punching his way out, which is, once again, regional stuff at best. You can't punch your way out of a rear naked choke. And Turcios showed his inexperience. It was under the chin. It should have been done. And he didn't have the little tiny tactical things to sync it up the right way, which, is maddening if you have grappling experience. Unfortunately, I do. A real rear naked choke is pretty efficient, right? They use their body to kind of cinch everything up rather than their arms. And he did it the wrong way. And Raul Rosas Jr. was able to get out. Then in round number 2, he ends up, getting dominant position and getting the rear naked choke 2 minutes, 22 seconds in. But it was a fight that showed the weaknesses of Raul Rosas Jr. again. And obviously the weaknesses of Ricky Turcios. He just had the wrong fight IQ strategy. I'm going to go out there and fight fire with fire. But we also saw Raul Rosas Jr. get into positional trouble that he should not have been in, right? He gave up a reversal easily, gave up his back pretty easily. These things are like, well, you can't do that against veteran guys that are never going to let you back in it. And that's the best way to look at grappling, by the way, at the high level, is when you give up position, right, you'll never get it back, right? Damian Maia passes your guard and gets mounted. It's over. You're never going to get it back. That's what high-level guys do, right? Gilbert Burns, right, world champion. You don't, hey, he's got my back, I'm going to beast my way out of it. You're not going to beast your way out of it. You might get out if you're really, really technical and a little bit lucky. But the problem with Raul Rosas Jr. is he's used to giving up these positions thinking, I'll just beast out of it because I'm 19 and I'm tough. And it's at a certain level, it's going to wear out. Hasn't hit that level yet, but he will. So Raul Rosas Jr., once again, he's still winning. He's 8-1, but I'm still seeing the same weaknesses that caused his first loss to Christian Rodriguez. He's impatient and thinks he can blow everybody out there in the first round. It worked again. It'll work until it doesn't work. Co-main event, this is the biggest upset I called. I chose Dominic. I called Raul Rosas Jr. That's another one for me. I called Dominic Reyes over Dustin Jacobe. 2 minutes, round number 1. I didn't think he'd be this fast. Dustin Jacobe. I like Dustin, not just personally, he's a good guy. I interviewed him or ran into him when I was doing Bellator. Nice guy. I know, obviously, he's a Factory X guy. I know Mark Montoya really well. He went out there like he had a dead man in front of him. No respect. He went out there and went, this guy's shot. I'm just going to put it on him and finish him. The problem is he had a huge size disparity. He was like tiny compared to Dominic Reyes. There's one thing Dominic Reyes has. He's a big dude. And Dustin Jacobe fought at middleweight. Right? He's not a huge 205er to say the least. He's not even a big 185er. And he went out there like, I'm going to finish this broken down, beaten up former contender. And dude, and he was doing all right for a second, but once Reyes hit him, it was like crack, and he went, oh crap, and he was down. It was like the first offensive explosion from Dominic Reyes was the end of the fight. So the problem with Jacobe is he went out as if as soon as I touch this guy, it's over with. Well, not necessarily. And once again, you have a size disparity. Your big punches are not the same as his big punches. You don't want to get in a firefight with a guy whose only asset is he's naturally a lot bigger than you, right? Michael Moore just got into the Boxing Hall of Fame. George Foreman, the one way George Foreman was going to win that fight is knock him out, and that's what he did. Boom, George can still hit. So similar kind of thing where I think if Dustin Jacobe could win a kickboxing match, right? He's an excellent kickboxer against Dominic Reyes. He's not going to win a slugfest. The guy's too big. And I thought Jacobe I don't know if he was coached that way or wanted to put pressure on early. Sometimes when a guy is on a losing streak, it makes sense. Go after him early because mentally they might be thinking, oh my God, it's happening again, right? Remind them that they just had whatever it was, 4 losses in a row, and they're shot, and make them doubt themselves. I get the physical pressure of making that happen. You have to make that happen without just putting all your chips on 46 red and it just goes south. And I think he did. I think he just put all his chips on, I'm going to finish this guy early. The problem is Dominic Reyes is too big for that. And Dominic Reyes gets a much-needed win, but he was almost 3-1 dog in this one. And snapped a 4-fight losing streak in 2 minutes of round number 1. So big money if you listen to me. Once again, depending on your book, is almost a 3-1 dog, which I could not believe. On to the main event. I picked Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. Jared Cannonier was ahead. Let me look at the scorecards real quick, because I know he was ahead, but I don't know how far he was ahead. The thing with me, right, is I thought that his calf kicks were very good. I thought his jab was very good. He was using those long-range weapons, right? He was using those long-range tools very, very effectively. And Jared Cannonier is a tall guy with real power. Jared Cannonier was ahead on 2 judges' scorecards, right? Which is why it was a back-and-forth fight. I totally get the mix-up in scorecards. But 2 out of 3 judges had him ahead, 2-1 going into the 4th round. So it wasn't a done deal by any stretch of the imagination, but he was ahead. Cannonier was using the jab well and the calf kick well. I thought Nasruddin Imavov was using the jab very, very well, which is interesting because usually the person who can control the simple long-range tools wins the fight most of the time. Meaning, if I have a good jab and I'm sticking you in the face and your head's bouncing back, I'm probably going to win. If I'm throwing the calf kick all the time and it's really, really effective, I'm probably going to win because I'm gauging range very well, very well. But Nasruddin Imavov was doing well with his jab as well. So it wasn't like it was a wipeout at long range. So, but it was back and forth. It was kind of ticky-tack, right? Meaning, once again, the scorecards were kind of all over the place. But competitive, back and forth. Nasruddin Imavov did land a good shot in round number 4. Did rock Jared Cannonier. Did have him off balance. I did think the stoppage was early. I believe Jason Herzog is the best referee in the business. I really think he is underrated. I think he's fantastic. He just made a mistake. I really believe that. I like the guy professionally, love the guy personally, and I just thought that Cannonier was all right. And I don't know how you can objectively look at that. Not going to lie, it was a little early. He was hurt for sure, but he seemed to be aware of the punches. He seemed to be defending well. The only thing I can think of, and I've run into this obviously calling fights myself, that up close the punches are a lot worse than they look on television. The only thing I can think of is that Herzog saw or heard something up close that we didn't hear. And I've had referees tell me that they'll stop it after a body shot and I'm like, oh man, that's interesting. And he goes, no, I heard him go, like he was going to throw up or something like that. They hear or see something in the moment that is more than we're seeing on television because the mics are only so good. They only pick up so much stuff. And the camera angle, only get one camera angle at a time. So that's all I can think of. And I haven't talked to Jason about it or anything like that. But the idea that I did think it was an early stoppage in a very close fight where the loser takes a big step back. Both of these guys have had enough losses that they're not on the short list of we need a title contender, throw in this guy. It's probably not going to be either one of these guys. Off a loss, they're in trouble. Jared Cannonier, the rule of thumb is if you have a bad title performance, which he had, let's face it, a bad title performance against Izzy, it was International Fight Week a couple years ago, and he had it was a dud of a fight. It's a long slog to get back, and this loss really sets him back in a big way. So that's another reason that the stoppage sucks is neither guy could really afford to lose, and it stopped in a moment that I didn't think was warranted it, to put it that way. So going over it again real quick, I got Soriano, I got Fajeda, I got Rosas Jr., and I got Dominic Reyes. So I was 4-2 with two big upsets, Dominic Reyes and Soriano. We're both pretty significant dogs in that one. So anyway, appreciate you. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, subscribe. I'll be back for the next one.